And final in both minor and senior, of course. The minor match coming up, and here's the Kilkenny minor team taking the field and ready to do battle against Tipperary in our first game. And as you saw there, I think the spots on the camera will tell you that it is a wet day, not a terribly wet day, but there is a bit of rain and heavy drizzle here at Croke Park so far, although hopefully it might just clear up a little bit for the game coming up, for the two games coming up here this afternoon. Kilkenny minors then. Ger and Pete, and it'll be interesting to see how they get on here today in this particular game. It's always hard to know with minors, isn't it?
You know, talking to a lot of people last night, they're really looking forward to this minor game, especially Kilkenny people. They think they have a very good minor team. Now, we saw them in the semi-final against Galway, an excellent game.
Yep.
Tipperary looked very impressive, and what's most impressive about both teams is the quality of their forwards. You know, Richie Power, wing forward for Kilkenny, still underage next year, absolutely brilliant. Has probably got the goal of the year already in the semi-final the last day. Chaff Fitzpatrick in the corner, Willie Dwyer at centre forward. They were excellent. You know, the quality of their play were excellent. And the same with Tipperary. They had 3 or 4 forwards the last day. Pat Short, Willie Ryan and Trevor Ivers in the corner. Absolutely magic play from them. And I think today might be the best minor final we've had since 1996. You know, there are days when the minor can even overshadow the senior. The quality is so good. So it's a game not to miss.
Oh, for sure, and we're not going to miss it. That's the Tipperary minor team coming out, some fine players in that team as well. And of course, these young lads, we've said before, only a couple of years ago, Pete Fitter, here we saw Owen Kelly now a star of the senior team, part of these minor team. And of course, that's part of what we look out for in minor matches, is just try and spot the stars of the future, I suppose.
Yeah, and this is really where they come through. You'll rarely see a player make it at inter-county senior level if he hasn't made it on the minor and under 21 grade. But it's incredible looking at the Kilkenny team. You see the old names coming back again, the Pendergasts, Richie Power, his father played for Kilkenny, Fitzpatrick's, Delaney's. They're all, they have lifeblood and hurling in them, and it's coming back again. But the game against Galway and Kilkenny was a fantastic game of hurling. It was even a better game of hurling than the seniors. There was more pure hurling in it. And Ger is right, the quality of forwards that are on display today, it makes for a very exciting final. Tipperary, they beat Wexford easily, they led from start to finish. But the battling qualities of Kilkenny, when they went 7 or 8 points down against Galway, they came through and they just got Galway on the line, and Galway had a very strong team as well. So it's the making of a great game, and sometimes minor can be more pure because the tension and the pressure isn't as serious as the senior game.
Just very briefly, Ger, we saw the shot there, number 25, young Boland, and of course he's been subject to a court case that has taken him to Croke Park here today.
Yeah, it seems, I wonder if he's going to start the game, number 25. Last week, the last day was Willie Ryan.
Yeah.
Appeared with no number and scored 2-4 or 2-5, and John Boland, of course, everybody knows what happened during the week. Suspended, sent off. The referee said he shouldn't have been sent off. Then he got a month's suspension from the president of the GA, overturned in the High Court, and it looks like he's going to, well, certainly going to take a part of the game. We don't know whether he's going to start or not yet. And I think it's great, because it's awful for a young lad to miss a minor final. The only chance they ever get of playing it. So,
well, he had been part of this team, so it's good to see him out there on the field. Now, funnily enough, as Pete Fitter was saying there a minute ago, and looking down through today's team sheets, certain names come jumping out at you from the programme because of their familiarity. Yes, the Powers, the Prendergasts, the Larkins, Kilkenny players of today with famous links to Kilkenny teams of the past.
It's just sort of something you done, like, you know, like all the brothers, we all just learned to hurl from a young age, and you just continued on. And if you made the county minor team, fair enough, it was a great start, like, and you inherited sort of thing.
When the ball would be thrown in, I'd be there watching the match, and that's the way it would be with me. You know, you'd be nervous up to it, but he's after being through it all, and when he's out on the field, there's not much you can do for him. It's up to himself.
The final's going to be a different type of game, I think. Like, the semi-final was fierce open, everyone was free to hurl, and both teams hadn't played that well up to then, maybe, and they both hit form on the day. Whether they both hit form on the day of the final now will be different, like.
With Jamie and my father Richie, after playing in All-Irelands before me, it's a big day for the family and a big day for myself, so hopefully everything will go well. I'd be calm enough, and you know, I suppose when the game will start to be things, you know, you might be shouting shouting a little bit, but overall now I'd be calm enough, because, you know, it's another game, and, you know, you have to try and build yourself up for that, and not let the occasion pass you by, and, you know, it's a big day for young lads.
When your father was playing for Kilkenny, were you aware of him at that stage? Do you remember the matches?
Not really, no. I'd have all the videos at home, and you'd look back at him, and like, you'd hear people talking about him and how well he played and how good he was, and like, it's nice to look back on the videos and see him, but I wouldn't quite remember him now.
my first really big game, you know. I kind of have a bit to live up to with the father. Played a few games there, you know. So
sure, it makes it fierce interesting when you have someone out there belong to yourself playing, especially when he's playing in a similar position that you played in yourself, so you know exactly what it's like. It's going to be difficult. Cornerback, full back line hurling, full forward line hurling. If you make mistakes, you're in trouble.
Would you have remembered your dad in his playing days?
I never saw him play competitively. Never. I saw a few videos of it, but that was it, you know. I don't remember him at all playing. Even though I was around, you know, I don't think I was too interested back then, you know.
I look forward to the big matches, and I hope he's able to rise to the same occasion. So, All Ireland's, the more of them, the better.
Yeah, just minutes to go now before the throw-in for this year's All-Ireland Minor Hurling Final. We'll be back after that with Tipperary versus Kilkenny, so we'll see you again shortly.
Mr. Bertie Ahern, TD, talked to
So then, Dr. Dermot Clifford, the patron of the GAA, and Sean McCaig about to take their seats for this minor match, that minor match between Kilkenny and Tipperary. And we're expecting a cracking game. If it's anything even close to the senior encounter between these two sides a couple of weeks ago, then we're in for some smashing match. Our commentators for the big game this afternoon are Micheál O'Shea and Jim Carney. We'll be meeting them in just a moment, but arriving right now for the afternoon's matches as well is on Taoiseach, and Liam Mulvihill, of course, the Ard-Siúrthóir of an Cumann Lúthchleasaigh, is with him.
Agus tús cura leis gluthe cena semána íochtaid i rudirí na hamána Kilkenny agus Tabbradáran sa régan na haan chuán an lá a glanna go deas agus i ddírig dul ar an ónsaíon san Willie Ryan i mehamach Paris a lína hana hain críndíide go Lord Parkinsa agus puck slesa a bheith ann agus snéan moltóidan sa Diarmid Kerwin an a voltóidir fad mac the jury as dúla harda a bheith go má Anna histeméireach der fader, Gudisa. Agus PJ Delaney, chun an puck slasa a hogant. Seo he PJ. Me hisier a mes na gosan toidí nú, vi sé mohol Lord Parkin láidirnach. Cawn Anna Ada. Stecha dro, imol na carnoige, ach viidir stig sa carnoig mar sin, puck amach a bheith ann, the Tabbradáran, Jim.
Garmaga the Bihil, August Polch, Wemsha Freshen, Rev Cork. Hello to everybody watching this minor game today as we look at the Kilkenny team. And this is a Kilkenny team that is built around the Kilkenny team that finished the semi-final against Galway. The changes made there on that occasion are considered to be successful, and so that's how Kilkenny line out their team today. There is a big change in the Tipperary team. We'll tell you about that in just a moment.
Tony's group at the Dalawachta, Bueter, Agus Lana, Amachatsa, John Tennyson, Amach Goody, Clem Live Edition, Keith Nolan, Mihisal, Goody and Levson Dunboyd, Wiltestach, Sarah Hishtik Sahuine, Michael Bergen, Agus Puxair Gnohe, Kilkenny, Dish the Richie Powell. Mark Darno, the Richie Power, on Agus Anachadeen scorena, I'm Shihige, Gudisa, the Kilkenny. Shohe, Deshigan Hit score all, Sachlohe, Canishansa, Bulte, Anna Ishalagegas, Sarah Hittig, Goulboyde, Lantamachak, Patrick McCormick, Joan Huine, Maravel, Michael Bergen, Koruk, Agus Mehemach, Harish Devlin, Puxnassa, the Tabbradáran. Cuireann Hobradóra agus Darno John Boland ag immert heb na live edition Neil Brendan O'Sullivan ag immert agus aharúile dianta choma Neil an Farlar Portke Diarmid Corcoran ag immert agus Sinead an Iran me siad a brahara sa chluhi Canishin so an Farlar Portke a hóca gesio Michael Rice captain na fórne agus Alfevon an Ardáin bhfuilte Anna Jassige Anna Skilú legus fachta go glótas an éirige David Kennedy Mac Jahar de John Darno agus Tammy Doyle a het crína ach bhfuilte stachansa ige Michael Rice a Jonah Carno ige agus Imahimú.
Yes, the big news for the All-Ireland Minor Hurling Final today is, of course, that John Boland, who was the subject of controversy in the build-up of this game, and who, of course, also is the subject of a court action, the Tipperary selectors have decided to start John Boland today at right half-back. And in another very interesting change, they brought Pat Short, one of their key forwards, to midfield right from the start of the game. So interesting tactics and interesting selection from a Tipperary point of view.
Agus Shahid Kilkenny, Alan Healy, agus Puxair Gnohuige, Lashdig dan Lina, Kugveder agus Dahad. Gan ein score fósán, agus Maida Stúdenson, ahir an Bádóra, Patrick McCormick, Shahid Paddy go bhfuil míad fiachantid, agus a vaca gimmert to stig sa húl, dídach mar bhíoch sé hénig, de Turle Sarsfields, ach Shahid, Richie Powell, Barana Chrína Fad, agus Deisige, Inis beidir an hiad scór an Ardó sé cansan í Ardó sé canó chéanamh tá sí sé Ardaige an heb na live edition afach agus Curamú. Ráis Curamú ige Richie Godisa. Mar sin bhfuilte amach ige Paddy McCormick Joe cléib na live edition agus fachta Anna Yass ige Conor O'Mahony a Selina Latusig mar a bhí Jim Rá. Shahid amachta stachansa Francis Devaney bhfuilte ige Francis agus a chéad scór ige Francis Devaney.
The first score has come after 4 minutes of play here in the minor final, the traditional curtain raiser, of course, to the big game on September Sundays like this. Minor, of course, is under 18, and all these young stars, they've come through their clubs and their schools, and of course, because there are so many famous names, sons of and nephews here as well today, well, it's a family interest that has been inculcated in the youngsters, and this is a great traditional feature of All-Ireland Day, the under-18 final. And here's Nicky Cashin, the manager of the Kilkenny team, who is associated, of course, with his own school. He's a teacher here in Kieran's College, one of the great nurseries of the game.
Agus Dinicason, Kieran Hine, gur Luishitson, Big Rehar John, Egimmert, Nisa Gianai, Dus na Shinchid, Ach Shahe, Kieran, Bishan Bokschlasse, Wilte Gadasige, Krasna na Porke, agus Tachta Machanson, Michael Bergen, Achan Vartianted, Emihibwig, agus Willie Ryan, Dirk Evanto, Moholor Porke, Fendrasa, agus Amachtleshistach, Francis Devaney, Wilte Stacha Joan Chuine, agus Shahe Trevor Ivers, the Vienna Venur and Idig, Parana Chreen, Trevor, and Ilig Giergama, Wilte Gadas, Trasna, and Sonage, Goody Willie Ryan, Ach Winter the Willie, and Sonage, Kieran Hine, Mahajo, Lord Napoitke, Richie Power, agus Emihibwege, Coravarasige, agus a Will Puxay around. Neil, Hannah Pacified, agus Anna Rohardien to get Richie Powell, agus Puxay Gnohige, Bader and Trio Bauta, Gunay Oakley Richie.
Nice running here by the Kilkenny man Richie Power, but there was a little chop down on him there, and the referee will speak and speak sternly to Pat Short of Tipperary, who was due to play at right half forward, but he is in fact playing at midfield. And this is an opportunity now for Richard Power to get his eye in here. There's a yellow card indeed for Pat Short, the first of the game after only 6 minutes, as Richard Power stands over this free. He's missed 2 already, but this is the best opportunity he's got.
Chagas het Green Dide Gelashli and Bautas agus Anna Green Bautas on Hits goal again. Richie Powell, the Hobradon. Taoiseach agus an tuachtarán an son. agus an Corran scéala éireann, da san hasiad a córa an sa, a láthar na huire, an adóg séite an san, ag Diarmuid Kerwin, agus Poxéir, da Habradorn. Cúgvéadar agus Chiefihid, nó marsin amach, ón gúl, Willie Ryan, a bhí annach Rhyn agus annach Chomasach agus annach bha, an láidearnach da Habradorn, sa chluhiile cheanis. O Hwmi Fara, bounce leis na sin sidige, Imirin Cello, Bweltige, agus Bwelt Anava, Anna Chwleinige, Willie Ryan.
Just a slight wind here in Croke Park today, but nothing of any great significance. It's just a fresh little breeze that the players won't object to really, otherwise it might just be a little bit humid, but it does not influence the flight of the ball or direction of the ball as far as either side are concerned.
Colin Grant, Bwelta Machajo, Lorna Podke, agus Keith Nolan, Agarid and Unsi, Dimmer Sheshu the House Homa, Sochlohilla Canish, agus Shahe, Cha Fitzpatrick, Bwelta get Cha, agus Bwelta Mahagan, Keith Hulini get Cha Fitzpatrick.
Well, Cha Fitzpatrick is one of the scoring stars of Kilkenny's All-Ireland semi-final win. James Fitzpatrick, better known as Cha. He's from Ballyhale Shamrocks, a very famous club down in Kilkenny, the club of the Fennellys, one of the great hurling families of modern times.
Agus Scoil Anna Chaliul, Closhta Hiron Choma, agus a Cosintitsa, Hiron Hine, Dienta Godasige, Trastan the Podke, Michael Rice, Agarid and Unsi, Derek James Cha, went to Macharish, Dachamehema Harisha Devline, Foxlassa, the Michael Bergen. Winter í bháilí dar nó, agus iad a bint tainmh as, gan iad hain round 40 chuige inú. Winter gúlaí. Meheimach haris a Devlín etsa, nó bhfuil níl, canar o mehanní, an bhartíantaige. Anna chóngracht an Devlín, agus bhfuilteisteach a láslí, agus seohe Francis Devaney, for sé Coolín ó chéanamh, an bhaise an tarna Coolín, bhfuilteige Francis, bhfuilteige maithaige, agus cúpainte idir a dó, Francis Devaney.
Now, Kilkenny did have some problems in this championship, filling the centre half-back position, and today they are finding again that they're just not marking tight enough, and Francis Devaney has escaped for 2 points. And of course viewers will have seen the Dooleys there, very famous hurlers from Offaly just a few minutes ago. They're from the parish of Clareen. The club there of course is Sear Kieran, one of the great Midlands clubs.
Richie Power, Bwelteisteach Gadi Owen Reid, agus Harnashkadi Richie. Derek Machtestach, Anna Skilú, Anna Yassafat, Harnashkadi, Cha Fitzpatrick, ach Bintago, an Bhartíanta agus Glantamach Godasan son a Joe, Lord na Podke. Wow, College Anna Frau Munson there, Evan Sweeney. Agus Beck Focal again Multor leis, Beck Kim Shuralta.
It is unusual, of course, for yellow cards to be dished out to minors. Sometimes they have to be. There was one earlier on for Pat Short, but just there the referee was content that that was accidental and just over zestful really in the challenge.
Willie Ryan, Martian, Bulte ige Willie, ige Sanova ige Willie, and Tarna Point ige Willie.
So a double scores position now. Tipperary leading by 2 points as we just come up to the 11th minute of this first half of the minor final. And William Ryan, of course, is from Toomey Vara, a very, very famous club. And not surprisingly, one of his role models is his clubmate, the great Tommy Dunn, who captained Tipperary to win the All-Ireland last year.
Agus hén choma gimmert leis na sínsir. Agus seohe, Willie Rish, Bwelteisteach aige, Láslí. Gyda'r Edadalov, College Dinter Keith Nolan, agus Poxéir gnóhu hige Keith, ta Keith Edadalov. Agus PJ Delaney, Hoquig Counter, PJ, a hosnig a lár Podke, an láidir nachach. Van lecholaí láir, an sohinú, sochlathe canish. Sé siúd ar na gaidim scoilin agus minúr a bechan ige, anna cheann Bweltige, steach a Joe na carnú ige. Nár de lo, agus seohe, Pat Short. Mohalar Podke, agus an bhartíanta idir báta sa. Buinte do, roibo Edadalov a gcónaí, agus plantar dedige, Willie Ryan. PJ Delaney, mi hevuig, fachtige David Prendergast, Magda Faddy, anon goody Cha Fitzpatrick, Derek nach der Ruher, nach der Schistach, agus Dakar, Michael Bergen, a chorda, agus nese Jakar Fos, veder, sticks a chuine. Anna Trevline, a Ritrasna, and so, John Tennyson, agus Tony Scroop, Ledoid Mahachoma, agus Ardamani, Shahe Tony Machtastach, Tony Scroop from Yellavoid, and I don't lish, cool oil, no, and a Havoid, sticking a Colin Grant, someone owned to Colin Grant, good eat Kieran Hine, Anna Lana, good eat Devil on board. Anna Anam Sahuela had no way, agus and I do it, like Kilkenny, Yannick, Anna Lana, the Foley, Wilted, son of Shane Coonan, agus Colleen, Ganathanish, at Point of Oin.
Well, it so happens that a near miss at one end of the field can be a score at the other end of the field, and so it proved there because Tipperary were in a very dangerous position. But from the counter-attack, Kilkenny got a score. And here's the Tipperary boy coming through, Evan Sweeney, the right full forward. But the goalkeeper came out, Colin Grant. He was heroic there. He's from the Emeralds Club.
Marcin, Shahe, the cousin, the Hobradorn, John Boland, built to get trust on the Portke. Michael Rice, Eredalov, Agus Tachta Gauder, Stephen Maher, Shahe, Willie O'Dwyer, Vimar Lonta Sachalager, Nachsar Hanavage, Francis Devaney. Francis a Derek Tony Scroop beim Show. Shahe Tony, Winter Hafach, John Tennyson, agus Schlitter in the Eredalov, Scroop Reba, agus Reba Homa Hansen, Kieran Hine, Kahage Moltoid, Dermot Kervin, and Schlitter Stachatra. Schlitter PJ Delaney, Trasnagadi Keith Nolan, Yerach Zoot Sarahe, agus Shahe Francis Devaney, Anna Yeshach and Passa Mehemu, non will. Trid Fos, Tabra Darden, agus Tony Scroop, for Yanana Ruharo Hienev, ach Wilte Lagirachtig Tony and Balthasar.
Well, if I could make one observation here, viewers who will have seen the semi-finals will know that this game is a lot tighter today. It's not quite as free-flowing. We're not seeing the sweet moves that we saw in the semi-finals, and that is, of course, because there is so much at stake today that the marking inevitably is tighter. But viewers should also watch out for the skill that there is in defending and in tight marking.
On Willemach, Mehecho Fadele Owen Reid, agus Cha Fitzpatrick. Dierige Stitter Hooklesh, ach ta 13 politikus on Vartiente de Corridavile, Pachtige Michael Bergen, Wantamach, with the Wayne Colley, Harris Lord the Portke, agus a Machtastach, Willie Ryan, Vasco Pool, Wiltige Willie, and Vigan Radio Gioig, Colin Grant, Pachtige Dassiger, agus Dish, Ege, Copradorn, Dollar on Sea, Tax Short, Edian, Wiltige, Harris Drasnan, agus Coulinelle, the Hobradorn.
Well, the skill there that you saw was the skill of batting down the ball, so that one player, instead of attempting to go for the ball with his hand, will bat it down to a colleague who was well placed, and indeed Willie Ryan it was who snapped up the chance there and put it over the bar.
Willie Ryan if we're a point to Shinnigus and Lorna Mia the Higge, the Hobradorn. Cousin PJ Delaney, ach, Emehemach Harris de Evline, agus Puck Schlasse, the Kilkenny. Stephen Maher, a Hokwig Council. Oholach Rowan, Jehard the Chris, a Vika Gimmert Van Widden, Favlienigus Vehe, a get Kilkenny, ach Drakan Bueltige, non will, Sarahe, a get David Morrissey, a Handat Dinter Shoe, a get Michael Rice, Captain Kilkenny, College Dinter Michael, and son, a get Wayne Colley, Agus Beckfocal again Molto Wayne Colley.
The player fouled here is Michael Rice, just a little bit high as the hand went across there from Wayne Cully. Just a little bit confusing for everybody here today, and I'm sure for viewers too, is the amount of hurlers here who are wearing yellow helmets. Richard Power of Kilkenny is one, but Pat Short and Willie Ryan, they're both wearing yellow helmets, and as they both do a lot of scoring, it isn't easy always to just pick out individual players from each other. Counson could have Harris Trasnawn again, Richie Power.
Richie Power, Chad Fitzpatrick agus Owen Reid buige Kilkenny mar a bhí sé rá Pat Short, Evan Sweeney agus Willie Ryan buí ige Tobladán. Mar sin buí an uachtar há sé sa bhaise na Jim. Anna ceann san éir ige PJ Delaney. PJ cosint go má há sé láidir. Lord na páidce ach an bhartíantaid an sa ige David Morrissey. Stechan sa go dtí Trevor Ivers. Tar anna chumasach Trevor. Chor anna gas, ach iarach súd sáirithe an bhacail anna dhéanamh fad. Agus deachir dulchan cína dhéanamh agus chalíis dianta go bhain colaí ar a dalamh an slitar scuopad an dalamh aige mar sin puc saoir de Kilkenny.
One of the rules of the game, of course, that referees have to be strict on is picking the ball off the ground. You're simply not allowed to do it. Now, the Tipperary player thought he might just sneak it in there. That's just part of the tricks of the game, but the referee was right on the spot, so well done to the referee.
Ceap sé go raibh sé cnósach frátaí dír nach sé chuin a cosintide de bhile an sa David Morrissey. Bheithe congracht an de bhlíine, fachta hála ge Michael Rice, ar a Kilkenny a chuir an onsaí. A cha teachtamach tá David Kennedy. Garvacht an Robert Mann agus ní féidir é sin a dhéanamh a chuiread, mar sin puc saoir do Kilkenny. Baine Stúdenson, Nicky Cashin, agus an Bautasa, Willie Ryan, ní hé, Willie Hocaig an éair ach Richie Power. Deisige an scóra chothar mó díide chlasmod an lína cúg bheidir agus dahad. Seo hé Richie, bhfuilte go deasige agus bhfuilte go maithaige Richie thar sé drasnán.
So the sides are level after 19 minutes of play, and Richard Power's free-taking now is right on song, and that's great news for all his family and all his fans down in Carrickshock, because they also have the full back, of course, John Tennyson here today, and Carrickshock a club on the rise again.
Agus iad co-scored an díú bauta an sa chluthe canis gan mágáine atra, seo hé Ciarán Hain, bhfuiltige Joe Chad Fitzpatrick, se a ddírig Owen Reid a ghaimsiú, agus fachtaige Willie O'Dwyer ach sára histig go Dassenson, ag Patrick McCormack, Anna Báidúid, Macla sé maine stúid, agus seo hé Pat Short, ach sára go Dassige David Prendergast, Mac Faddy, Wai Shatan Comán a mihuig, a teachta gaudit, Keith Nolan, Anna Cownige Keith, Chad Fitzpatrick agus Michael Bergen, tá anna chóra gatra go dísa. Abradárin a dierig dullar in onsaí ach sára hiríist ag Keith Nolan, weil bhí sé aus a chluthile cheannis, tá sé gimmert go má anna hús, sé hé Keith, istechad sa go dtí Michael Rice an captain, Cawn mór fada ón captain ach de gáinín ergis. Agus an tríú Cawn cur a mú ag Kilkenny.
Well, here was a test of the agility and the nerve and the eye of the goalkeeper, Patrick McCormack, but he did it ever so well there. He is the son, of course, of the team manager who was himself a goalkeeper, a Thurles Sarsfield's man too, just like the great, the peerless Jimmy Doyle, the last Thurles Sarsfields player to captain a winning minor team. That was as far back as 1957.
Marsin, Tobradorn, Pat Short, Big Dishige, Tootfist score beidir, Cawn mór fada ó Pat agus anna Pólvís gan a raga púlínach, an mí á an tolla bhfuiltige, anna íirech, ach seo hé Tony Scroop, Dishige Tony agus sin pointige Tony Scroop.
Have a lot of significance here for Tipperary today, and of course for Kilkenny too, is how well the two central players are doing for Tipperary. Francis Devaney at centre half forward, which of course is called in the game the 40, and Tony Scroop inside him at full forward.
Mar sin seo hé Pat Short an fear bhfuil an Cawn fada a bhfuil polo. Meachta i lethe chúil an sa do Kilkenny, David Prendergast, ach anna chóngracht an de bhlíine. Marsin Hain san immert de gcónaí, bhfólín, agus seo hé Ciarán Hain, chalíis diantar Ciarán, puc saoir do Kilkenny.
Kieran Hoyne is the injured player, number 7 for Kilkenny. He, of course, is just one of a number of players here today who come from big hurling families, because the Hoynes are represented in the senior game as well by John. And, of course, Michael Hoyne is a man who might well have been playing in the senior final too, except for a back injury. But he's a young man in his early to mid-20s. He'll be back.
Marchen, Desh the Fiji, Yada Hurid and Unsi. Will to get PJ Delaney, Count Father, Agus Emihe Amu on Cahro Count Kuramu and Ish Ege Kilkenny, so Chlohigadisa. Anna Yeshanson, again, Captain Michael Rice, will to get Michael, I guess printed as again Michael Rice and son. Kilkenny.
And Michal, that's a wonderful score by Michael Rice. There's the Kilkenny captain leading by outstanding example. And earlier we talked about John Tennyson and Richard Power of Carrickshock. Well, Michael Rice is a Carrickshock boy too. And a good one.
Marchen, Neil Morgoine Atra. Lohide Rochauna Meo. Agus Anna Amuichta Sodder, John Tennyson, Agus Tony Scroop. Agus Lake, Tobra Dorn and Council. Willie Ryan. Har kom soch a chailige sé a stolum da Pat Charlton Council Hogan. An trio blien ag a Pat ag immert leis a guntae, Didach Hemmer Thaw ag an Gulboide, Patrick McCormick. Wilte Ishalige agus Wilte go Hulk. PJ Delaney, Hirach Zarahig, Francis Devaney, Fachtig PJ Reached, PJ Analoded. Harna bliene gimmert leis a guntaige, agus a mechta Ruhar, Shane Coonan, Shahe Shane, Anna Ruhar, Anna Scope, Anna Arshinige, Anna Yannick Shane, a mechta Scafoil, Anna Yara, Wittestech agus Schatzer Hole, agus Goldestech again, On Reid and Lontazach, Anna Ruhar, Dintetson agus Shane Coonan.
"24 minutes of play gone in the first half. Shane Coonan made a run. It was a brilliant run. Hurling at its thrilling best. The pass was beautiful. The finish was clinical.
Marchen, Kilkenny, Chief Hinterhantasig, Sha Fitzpatrick, agus Eshtik Fnatlish Ganson, and Pascadas Stachany, Willie O'Dwyer, Shahe Willie. Ach, Anna Chossent, Diente, Ege Tobradon.
Now just watch that pass and the finish off his left side, and the beauty of that score is that these youngsters are so good, right or left. They have the skill to flash the ball into the net, to put the sliotar into the net without thinking whether they should use their right or left. It's whatever their instinct tells them, and that was the key to getting that score.
Didach Emergin DJ and Ruhar agus an Colo Cogan ach Shahe Macht Istach Richie Power Richie Trasna and Hulitza Edirik Allen Healy Heimshow Bachtige Allen Illy Giergama agus Roy Gear Bedid Sarahe Ege Patrick McCormick Macha Joe Lorna Poitke agus Keith Nolan and Sunda Kilkenny Cossent Heat Fevru Afach agus Kurmach Ege Keith Marchen, Puckschlasse, de Habradon. Wayne Colley, Conor Council Hogan. Order Higadasige. Agus PJ Delaney, Winter the Fiji, Pachta Harnashige, Agus Winter the Horicht. Ach, Bwylta Harnashet Sunagegadi, John Tennyson. Kilkenny, Ganavar, Anna Hapig, agus Bachta Gadasatug, and Lontasach, Owen Reid, Owen Bwyltige, Owen Joan, Bodo will be the Yoga Council, Rishesh Guristach and Linton, Rashesh Guristach and Linton, again, Sha Fitzpatrick, Will Batoon, Tubishtach the Habradon, Sha Fitzpatrick, agus Colebug.
But the last 6 minutes of the first half are proving costly here for Tipperary. It was Owen Reid who sent it in, and just watch the touch. The touch was enough for the goal. The goalkeeper was out. Not much wrong with his positioning as he came to it, but he was a little hesitant then. So it wasn't enough just to come out. He had to be more decisive. Instead, it was the Kilkenny boy who was decisive.
Áchor cinúnacha as a chéile agus ráchúil do Kilkenny agus seoithe Alan Healy an lasar sa bharachan is. Alan an uile gír agus sáirithe ag Michael Bergen puck chuig féidir agus tíofahead do Kilkenny.
Now, important to point out, of course, that while the senior final will be 35 minutes a half, it's just a half an hour for each one. And there's Kavanagh's arriving with the black and amber. The Kilkenny senior team are arriving. This is always a thrilling moment when the teams arrive for the big game. But that won't worry PJ Delaney from Johnstown Fenians, standing over the 65.
Bwlte ag PJ ach an council cwr roade hebna lobby disige agus sinna tanale le hama Bekil Chwennig anna hosta leis slíha immer godísa co. Snean cool Ristenson agus bwlte ag dasige Fitzpatrick is dachan Leontáin. Mi ábharach de Patrick McCormack. Geran Hain agus Pat Short agus a cumán a méhwig. Bachta har nasige ach puck slasa de Kilkenny. Kieran Hain agus anna choiréiseach leis a gawnsa. An bhearna bhód ar a bheatra an uid an miáilis agus an bheartíantar an puck séir a bheith gawn do Hobra Darden. Nómat a bháin breise a luí de Dersterlin. Mar sin, Deisian Sugge, Willie Ryan, beidir a count of Walla Joe na Carnoige. Is Janach Cool, Anna Vahasanis, the Hobber Darne, Tanna, Lillehammer. Had a Yannick Willie. Jab, went to Joe na Carnoige. Agus, Yadid Hoy de Hoil. Ach PJ Delaney, a Glana and Clifford. Trasnanson, agus a Trasna, Keith Nolan. Bachtige Keith the Tachtamach. Wolle das Fachtige, a Korohege. Anna Skilula, Fadige Keith, the Raigedi, Michael Rice, a Shin Anna Skill. Ach Spachtige Dasige, Derek Bork, Mehewege reached. Macha Joe, Lord of Portke. Hobra Dorn, good say in that hole. Skoid, Rigle Hammer, and Ido Glow. On Farlaw Portke, Conor O'Mahony, Hagimmers the Tussahe. Wultestach, Shahe John Tennyson. They hide the Banel Chinchil, Pat. Francis Devaney, a Hosnig Gama, Ach PJ, a Gimmert, Anava, Le Tamalin, Parna Kaharo.
So the Kilkenny team have just arrived. As we told you, well, now the players are alighting from the coach. They're collecting their gear. They're going in. Kilkenny in a stylish new off-field strip this year. There will be tension there, of course, but as some people have observed over the weekend, it's a fantastic kind of tension. It's where the players really feel the buzz as they come into the ground now. And, of course, Kilkenny particularly will be anxious to hear, just as they come in, how the minors are doing, because the Kilkenny hurling fraternity, they're one big family.
Agus nadóg sétig an moltóidet sa, agus Kilkenny gomór an óchtar, de heilige an dáchól a raimsíder, agus sin ón Reid, farfuid Caunaka, agus anna hástar fat le sin an scórig le hama Kilkenny nó sé, Hobra Darn ná de sé.
Lose Prairies. They've had 8 frees in the first half, 4 for Tip, 6 wides against 2 to Tip, and also there's been just the 1 yellow card against Tipperary, and that against their wing forward Pat Short. Gerald Nan and Pete Finnerty has been watching that match with me. 2 goals for Kilkenny have set them up in this game, Ger, but a body blow to Tipperary as well.
Real body blow, because they were playing really well up to then, especially that defence was absolutely outstanding. And then Shane Coogan gets this ball. It reminds you of what happened with DJ just a few weeks ago. He just bursts through the centre. He changes pace here now again, just like DJ. A pass to a man in the very same position on Reid, and he buries it in the net. How often times do Kilkenny do that to teams? Just when everything seems going against them, they can produce goals like that. It was a brilliant run and a fantastic finish.
Second goal.
Now the second goal was Owen Reid this time set up the ball, long ball across, and Chad Fitzpatrick comes in. Now it's easy to blame the goalie there, but the goalie, look at him, he keeps his eye on the ball, he thinks he's going to catch it, and Fitzpatrick buries the net. Maybe the cornerback should have held off his man and not let himself free, but Fitzpatrick's a brilliant player. He scored 4 points the last day. He has 1-1 got already. Dangerous forwards on both sides, and it's only now that begin to show how good they are.
Those goals, as I said, have hurt Tipperary, but they were a little bit unfortunate themselves, Pete, that they didn't get a goal, a save, a fortuitous save, but a good save nonetheless from the Kilkenny goalkeeper.
Yeah, it's goals that win matches, and we saw the Kilkenny were really struggling in the game, and the goal brought them back into it. And here we see Tipperary at a time when they needed a goal. We see Tony Scott coming in across the centre, ball pulled on, but again a great save by Colin Grant in the Kilkenny goal. But I'm looking at the Tipperary team, and we have Pat Short, who scored 5 goals in championship to date. We have Willie Ryan, who was notorious in the full forward line the last day, and they're all playing out the field. They might look at moving them into the full forward line in the second half, because really Kilkenny, you can see another goal or two in them. And Tipperary, to get back into the game, will have to get a green flag or get a few early scores on the board. And having the likes of Pat Short playing well at midfield, you'd be more of an advantage playing well at corner forward or at full forward.
Well, that's it, Pete. They have a 6-point disadvantage to turn around in that second half. The entertainment goes on here at Croke Park. We take a break. We're back very shortly.
It's a massive occasion. We didn't get there last year. We were all disappointed. I was actually in New York the time it happened. The All-Ireland was on, and I was gutted that morning.
The teams are back, ready for the second half then. Just a reminder to you that it's Kilkenny leading Tipperary by 2-6 to 6 points at half-time. We're getting ready for the start of the second half. We go back again to our commentary team of Micheál O'Shea and to Jim Carney.
Gurmaghiv agus an moltóir Micheál na páilce agus an dá éireann I tír gáilinis chun aige húrt an tarnala iad a fneachtas an manacúil chun an áte gáganta tsa agus Diarmid Kerwinetson agus déanamh an a job go dísa. Háhúil ag Kilkenny an bhearna is na séfaointe snéan bhearna há atra agus seachúil an tarnala tá bradár na súl gnéana siad níos fearr beidir sa tarnala ach seohé Keith Nolan de Kilkenny a gur an ónsaí Stacha Joe an chúine an son agus Derek Burke Derek an slittar gáil fachtaige Derek Léana bhróig bhí sé fé bhrú agus anna bhrú achar ag Kilkenny gura Chad Fitzpatrick an parafuide cúil agus pointe Léana chuis agus Dish ag Richie Power an chiad scór a gáil sa tarnala.
Well, it's interesting, Micheál, that Richard Power seems to have gone into centre-half forward now, and that Willie O'Dwyer, the Kilkenny number 11, has gone to the wing, and of course he's taking David Morrissey away from centre-half back, and that might not necessarily be a good thing for Tipperary, that such a strong, sturdy, well-bit lad like Morrissey has gone from the centre.
Martin Richie an Miadoshe an bhearna, an meag seach cín atra den giadúid, bhuilte go Richie agus tá seach pointe atra den giadúid. Martin Paddy McCormick Patrick McCormick ach fachta go das a lárpáidce ag Michael Rice captain agus déanamh chuda Patrick Holt an Martin Tracy teachtamach ach imimach Harris Dave líne agus puck slasa de Kilkenny. Ron Hine Stachel Ashley agus Halí Stianta de Gossel Hossentoid Hobradarn mar sin Pocamach a bheith ann de Hobradarn. Patrick McCormick inis be sé díar gin a spreagach an dullar in ónsaí a bearna réúnta mór atra ach ní fáil go héire. Agus seohé Francis Devaney an a rúthar ige Francis an airóig get son le Willie Ryan ní airóig Keith Nolan agus a dheachantlis Evan Sweeney agus Halís Dianta Keith Nolan.
Well, Keith Nolan is a name to think about here, and a boy to watch for the future, because he was outstanding at left half-back for Kilkenny in their very exciting semi-final victory over Galway. He has switched to the right wing today, but he's as good right and left, and that again is in the Kilkenny tradition. Now Francis Devaney made a run there for Tipperary, but again the Kilkenny defence were strong and were sturdy, and they cleared the ball out. And just like Michael Bergen of Tipperary won 3 good defensive balls in the first half, the Kilkenny full-back line are doing their duties now.
Captain Kilkenny, Michael Rice. Here again the Chudder Nunsi, ach Fachta Unso, again David Morrissey. Fachta Gadassenson, again Willie O'Dwyer, Vuelta Harnash, Gadi Keith Nolan, or Hamroga, Wally Hale. Achana, Hava, the Sticks of Hune, Unson, again Martin Tracy, Johan Tarna Deshiga Martin. Vuelta Roada, Harsha Devline, again Tracy. Martin, Anna Skiller Faden Sunnige, Agus Shachuin, Michael Rice, on Captain. Shach Binte Atra, Achan Illy Gierenso, Weichel. Wiltige Dassige, Stacha Joe, Lashley. Utamal Björger de Dalov, Agus Hepter John Bolindetson, Agus Deshta Kilkenny. Ach Shohe Francis Devaney, Cossent. Drachown, Agus Deshenso, Ege Cha Fitzpatrick, Wuttige Cha, Agus and Varnamir, the Huggerty Ochpointe.
Well, this is the point in the game now where Tipperary fans must fear the consequences of allowing Tipperary Kilkenny get early scores in the second half, because we saw what the Kilkenny seniors did to Tipperary the last day when they got 2 points inside 45 seconds. Well, here today the Kilkenny minors are just repeating that. Early scores against a team who trailed at half-time by 6 points.
Derek Burke, Shohe, Cha Fitzpatrick reached. Wiltige Cha, Stachel Ashley. Well, vi en tale, Tobradorden, Gorev Bertekaun. Agus, ni Reidig, le David Morrissey, and Schlitter Chodevaras, Deshelige. Agus, Shohe, David Kennedy. David, de Machter Ruher. Shohe, David. Mak Jahar, the Jan, Agus Puxer, Gnohege.
Well, perhaps that might provide inspiration to Tipperary. David Kennedy there from Clanulty Rossmore, a nephew of John Kennedy, outstanding Tipperary hurler of the 1980s. He made a charge there, that's what they need, but of course they also need scores. We saw Francis Devaney back defending just a few minutes ago from centre half forward. He had to go back obviously to win the ball, but it just showed you early in the second half how difficult it was for Tipperary to wrest the initiative back from the young boys in black and amber.
Agus David Shepherd tak Edebord, Evan Sweeney Imihe. Agus Willie Ryan on Puxa a Hogant. Wiltige Willie. Jonah Carnoige Agus a move. On trio count Kuramu ege Tobrador. Schnensone, David Shepherd, de Hoinige de Boek, Agus Evan Sweeney, Emihe. Kilkenny agus Ruhrásin Islo, Solasalé, Gaulish, Idiriatain, Agus Tobradorden, Agus Shohe on Clogadarag, Kaitiwoige John Boland, Agus Puxlasse, Letogentige, Agus on Toyerochanson or Kilkenny. Agus Evan Danahos of us, Agus Anna Ruher, Agus Anna Yeshige, Kilkenny, Dollar Michael Rice, a captain, Stachalashi, Harish Stetson, Martin Tracy, San Ordkart, San Omkart, Shohe, Richie Powell. Agus Puxer the Hobrador.
Well, it's interesting that Shane Coonan from the St. Martin's Club made another thrilling run there for Kilkenny. And of course, in the first 20 minutes of this game, we felt that it hadn't reached the standard of the semi-final between Kilkenny and Galway. It's more difficult, of course, in a final where there's more tension. Perhaps it's easier in a semi-final to play free-flowing hurling and to give more free expression to your talents. But then, in the 24th minute, one flash of hurling genius from Shane Coonan and that run. Well, he made another one just a moment ago, but no goal came off that one.
Action, Tabradar, agus score a tastáilmhatha a láth na huide. Trevor Ivers a dhéir bitar a bhólaisteach a mithimhaig. Tá sé a córa go fóil, Pat Short, Pana Talón. Raige Councilsteach, puck chuigréidir agus tífahead churamach again gus an tóid.
And just for newcomers to the game of hurling who will be watching videos, watching this game, watching videos around the world. The rule, of course, is when a defending player puts the ball out over his own line, well, there's a free to the opposition. It used to be from the 70. That was 70 yards. It's now called a 65 because it's 65 metres. In this case, maybe about 64 and a half or so.
Conor O'Mahony, cúpla orlach leistigh. That's why we have a Bultiga Connor, Bultiga Comasaga Connor, a Mialish, Emihe Ergish, on Carrow Count, Kuramu, again Tabradar.
Galway, of course, missed a couple of 65 long-range frees in the semi-final. They were costly. Tipperary can't afford to miss them here.
Goy Schulte, Kilkenny, Marshall Lahar na Huidi. Agassi at the end of Gadiel, so Bohi Canashitza. Schlitter fachtet zog, Conor O'Mahony. Agus Padraig Holden. Bartientige Padraig. Wird no tjur, a machat zog di Keith Nolan. Kada mar chossen toir, Dunsko. Ach, puck slasse evig aan de Hubredorn. Michael Bergen, chunne Council Hogan, Jimmer Shelley, Gaidem Skull in the Hubredorn. Boige Gailevera. Keith Nolan reached. Loich Cossenta. Kilkenny. Ganena go. Derek Burke, agus Owen Reid, Lechele. Agus Puck Coigleader, agus Chief Head, Ed Moyer. Niha, Ed on Cossentoid. Dagine Ahara Hagan Moyer. Golem Goodin Cart, agus Agine Aharo.
The Tipperary lads may be trailing and they may be in some difficulty on the scoreboard, but they haven't lost heart, they haven't lost their spirit, and they showed it there.
Kieran Hine, Banatevline, agus Alan Healy, agus Martin Tracy, Bachtige Martin, ach Sarhige Alan. Sjohe Alan, Schliedientige heen, Countdown Sherach, Puttige Chaffetz Patrick, Cola Chaffetz Patrick, Cola with a do.
Well, lovely touch here, lovely balance as that ball was flashed in by Alan Healy. And from a Tipperary point of view, the wrong man had it. But from a Kilkenny point of view, the right man had it. This is Chad Fitzpatrick's day.
Do, ag Chad Fitzpatrick go dísa. Loich scorála, Kilkenny. Agus an Kennedy and son, David Shepherd, Callistianta siúd. Callistiantige. Agus Pucksair, the Hubredorn. Willie Ryan, a Hokage Council. Nish, and Mullishen Council, Jonah Carnoige, they're cool at Tastalwaha. Beder Ganenach. Willie Ryan, Bultige, gas a tootve score, ach Mialish. Kuramu, dan Gugu Bauta, eget Hubredorn. Neil Rinara, Lena Gadirachdi.
Now, balance was the key to that, as the Kilkenny left full forward got that ball in, and Chad Fitzpatrick, of course, he was deadly quick and so clinical in his finishing.
Martin, Solasaloy, Idrina Fordne, Agus Kilkenny, Ediana Vidaus, and so Satarnala, Graimach Mother Varas Moraka, Owen Reid, Down the Hechan Talon, Agus Bintero, Ega David Kennedy. David Inish in Yana Ruharele, Lena Kitoig. Bachtaga and son, I get Tony Scroop, Shahe Tony. Tony, I guess Anna Ruhara Yanavige. John the Hatslot, Wuttigadi Patchart, oh no. And son, better than all it, Agus Foxair, Litawid. Ach, Solem Gamek Focal again, Multoid. This year. David Prendergast agus Thomas Fitzgerald de tachan poitke a corta buida ach tá Trevor Ivers a fágan na poitke ús gearga meg agus Thomas Fitzgerald tí tacht a poitk do Hobradán. Schneanson, Thomas agus Trevor Ivers a bheith fágan na poitke. Trevor dar nó bhí na bhanúr an nidig, se hen tarna blianige in na bhanúr ach ní léon á inniu le tasathe Hobradán. Mar sin, Willie Ryan, bhuilte go híisiil go cruaig ag echa me haris a trasnáin, cúla bhí bhuaig ach puinte fuirse.
Well, Willie Ryan put a low trajectory on that ball. He may well have been aiming for the top corner of the net there, but it flew just the wrong side of the crossbar from his point of view. Now it's goals that Tipperary need. But will Kilkenny let them?
Agus is dacadach sé dún gur bheith sin an chiad scór ag Tubradán sa tarna le. Agus Tubradán díannig ahrú eile dhéanamh, Brendan O'Sullivan tí tachan pláitce, tar a bhí rána hit ar nó, agus seohe. Wayne Colley a fágan na pláitce agus slí a dhéanamh aige do Brendan O'Sullivan. Mar sin an immerte leanún tiraig, roihrás a gcónaí le Kilkenny, iad an a ritig lánat agus chalí séile dianta an son Michael Rice, pucsair de Kilkenny.
Well, a lot of frustration creeping into Tipperary's play now as we come up the midway point of the second half. That's understandable when you think that they trail by 8 to 7 points. They haven't quite done themselves justice here today, Tipperary. They're very, very talented, were in the past couple of years as well, and they'll always be a force in minor, but really they just have to concede the ground today to a vastly superior force in this Kilkenny team. The likes of Richard Power as he puts that ball over the bar majestically. Brilliant skill by Richard Power.
Mar sin Kilkenny go dtíannig an dá chur an na húirt a bhile leocha tra hána nocht. Is cosúil go bhfuil éirithe leo an chiad cheann a bhuachtant mar anna bheith orna atra, solas a le atra láthar na huide. Agus gan éon ánar géile ach seohéad Tubradán a dtíannig dullar in ónsaí, John Boland ach an bheirtíantar, hálar a bhile. Nachtasteach agus anna bhuachar a dhéanamh agus Shane Coonan báta bháin eile agus curad a bhile go fealtach.
And interesting that it was Shane Coonan again, the left half forward, his third exciting run of this game. The first, of course, led to the goal that really was the decisive score, because from that goal in the 24th minute of the first half, Tipperary were chasing the game. Coonan made another brilliant run earlier in the second half, and now he's made a run that has led to a yellow card for a Tipperary boy.
Corta buí the David Kennedy agus deis ige Richie Power. An bhearna a bhíadú níos a bhófós agus cad é mar bhearna ha ána chaise se crín cumasach pointe eile de Richie Power.
Well, what a proud day it is for Richie Power Senior and his family from Carrickshock in Kilkenny to see young Richard out there doing his stuff in thrilling style today.
Annach bháil san éir an son aige Stephen Maher agus Pucsair gnóthaige Bered agus an Moltóid go maith os ciúna bhuaile mar a bhís a ráileh Diarmid Kirwan é díanamh ar aus. Richie Power las mud a lár na páisce Diona Carnoige agus seansaile sa chúine do Alan Healy Úmpú timppel agus gaimsú pointed as Alan Healy.
Beautiful point by the pacey Alan Healy. He certainly deserved that score. He's worked very hard today, and in the semi-final he was one of the stars too, without scoring a lot. But the Kilkenny style there, what they say about DJ Carey, that he can lean one way and deliver the ball the other. We saw just a bit of that style there from Alan Healy.
Diarmuid Corcoran take ahead of board the Hubbard Orden agus John Boland imihin. Marsin, Hubbard Orden, hen bhá á Yimmertico agus Shahe, Willie Ryan, Anna Amani agus Berer Yanzi Willie agus sin Tuxair the Hubbard Orden. Get Kilkenny gehaáil, cheappas go Berer Yanzi ach ver séir lí róid féó is litar féó gin sé chalais. Marsin. Hubbard Orden, Cosint Gama, Eric Cosint Gama, Stig sa Chúine, Michael Bergen. Ach, Chudva Iske, Likke Histach agus na Cúlathe Godísa, Níl Áras mar Jálar sin, Francis Devaney, Hosna Gabby Gama, Wutistach a John Chúine. Ach, Bechar sin mar Cosint ag Kilkenny agus Svel inspiráideach. Iad a gimmertid aus at fad, Anachas Bontas at fad a Hurtwacha. Baltason, John Tennyson dar no. John Chúine, Shahe Kieran Hain. Iad a gór le héin ó chean ceann na páirce Kilkenny, Cosantóidí tusathe lá páirce, iad ar fad at gimmert go díal. Agus.
Now we have just 1 hour to the big game, of course, between Kilkenny and Clare. We're awaiting the arrival of the Clare team. Kilkenny are here, and of course they'll be thrilled with the performance of their minors, whose skill level in particular is coming more and more to the fore now as they really take over here.
Stephen Maher, Stachel Ashley, agus Eddie Aragon Reid I'm show, Wiltige Own, agus well, that's yet the foil, at the end of a row road, Gaulish, a lot of the
An opportunity perhaps to spare a thought for one of the greatest hurlers of all time, Eddie Kerr of Kilkenny. Back in 1959, he played in the minor final here, even though he didn't win a medal that day. The senior game then finished in a draw. A couple of weeks after that, Eddie was brought in to play in the senior final replay. So he played for Kilkenny, minor and senior, in the one final, the one set of finals, although on different days. What a wonderful achievement it was.
Tony's group machtastach Schansige and Willis Chance me Hawaha, Lord Nahuidi, Anna Hossant Keith Nolan, Evru, Reberimish. Well, Anna Horukat Fad, the Gossentoidi Kilkenny. Pat Short, the Reedy Hillachni, Laura Yehill over there, Godisa Edechuma. Keith Nolan, I guess, Yachantish, David Shepherd, Anish Tachtagaudid, Stephen Maher, Pat Short, Matt Leshistach, I guess, Kalaishele, and Pat Short, Reich, Animele, and Laura Voltora. Níl áras ná go bhfuil Kilkenny an uachtar ó cheann ceann na páirce. Agus cát na buí nachtathe don gaptaín Kilkenny an fearmhaigh Edhuair chuireann scéala éireann tréis a chluthe. Shahe Willie Ryan and Willie sé council Ishal beidir gnéanach. Willie Ryan go hísal. Dacha Joe imol na carno ige. Buirtistach agus buirtistach an líontáin bhíon cúlsa na tastáil an san ó David Morrissey an lecholaí láil.
Well, a goal that may be no more than a consolation score, but it does show the spirit of Knocknagow. When that ball broke there, David Morrissey it was who flashed it into the net. Good finish. There were a lot of black and amber jerseys there, all right, but they could do nothing. Numbers didn't count. It was a flashing drive to the back of the net.
John Tennyson agus Córlai Seachorir is stigim míle bháide. Agus dar nó ag de háide de banéil sin siad chomha ach san achtrasan a gortícha.
Well, certainly that goal was not the fault of John Tennyson. As Michal said earlier, he was inspirational a few minutes ago when he won a great ball in the air. Happily, he's recovered.
Rai'r gan y fliogyn, i'r borg y chrwpig, agos ys taisach yn oed te, yn so hynny o. So chlohi canish. O pliod y ffoed, agos y ho yn ein oed sydd dawn. Agos Kilkenny gyda gŵr le hyn, Stephen Maher. Stach a Joe na Carnoige. Owen Reid agos John Machtanarda noch hynny, Derek Burke yn ddardiantig dar Hobradorn. Sio heb Brendan O'Sullivan, a hannig chan toach o hyn i fi, agos y rwyhistach David Shepherd. Bachtige, be Thomas Fitzgerald am echtastach, a sarhe ag Kieran Hine. Sio heb Kieran agos, wel, chadau man chosint, agos na cwit. Van het Tevlin agos rhaid accounts yn ymach, Puckschlasse, the Derek Burke.
Well, wonderful defensive play there by Kieran Hoyne. He might just have been a little bit disappointed by his own performance in the semi-final, but he's really played well here today. That was great defensive play, very determined. Well, talking about earlier on about Eddie Kerr, one of the all-time greats of the game. Another, of course, is the great Jimmy Doyle of Tipperary. He holds a record. He played in 4 consecutive minor finals in the 50s. He won 3 medals in a row. Wonderful record, and we think of him as well today. Eddie Kerr and Jimmy Doyle, 2 true gentlemen of the game.
Agus dar no David Kennedy, on Shanahan a Hannah Shoot, Shane, Uncle Jimmy Doyle, Tommy Doyle, and Robert Mann of Hugedisted. Ach Shahid, Kilkenny, agus here, they go to Hain, Alan Healy, agus Print Elefos again, Alan Healy.
Well, this is a flowering of the full skill of Kilkenny hurling. Alan Healy turning, twisting. Again, as I said about DJ Carey, leaning one way and shooting the other.
On Carter Father got Blahu Cast Takahe, Immert Kilkenny, Yad Anach Nasta, Anach Dich Noel, Anach Humasuk, Anach Skill. Stephen Maher. David Kennedy and Fargaram with the kind to the Stackary Francis Devaney, Niana Ruher, Francis, Bultige Shoe the Nishkudi, Thomas Fitzgerald, Thomas Ishalana Havolige, Stigige Colin Grant, Agus John Tennyson, the Tachtamachlehe. Puckschlasse, the Begaun, the Kilkenny.
Well, nothing wrong with the drive. It was hard. Admittedly, it went straight at the keeper, but he did have to stand his ground. He had to be brave there. Good positional play and a terrific save by Colin Grant from Emerald. And of course, in the senior final, his club will be represented by Derek Ling. So everybody down there in that club, they'll be so proud today of Derek Ling, but also of Colin Grant.
Agus Willie O'Dwyer a Hyundiantige Susa Hurta, Agus Disha Hurta, Robbie Dowling, Ege Kilkenny. Well, Neil Rinara le Tobradorn Maravisara agus Shahe Alan Healy Bautavanelle achas Kumelish Marialer Ganson noch the moon Negin Kuramuga Kilkenny Godison Ashes Osta Ta Gurum Diantaka. Kieran Hine agus Shahe David Kennedy. Stachat Zogudi, Thomas Fitzgerald. Thomas agus Eddie Yehill o Hanne Shechan Parke mar on the agus Shin Bultigadas Stachage, Gudi Willie Ryan. Went to the Willie. Kieran Hine. Shaharish, Kieran, the Diana Anachet Cosanta. Agus Puck Pugvedra agus Chief hit to Wiggy.
Well, significant there, I think that piece of play featured Willie Ryan, because Willie Ryan from Tumivara, he certainly is one man who has done his utmost to rally Tipperary here today. A couple of very good frees earlier on, but from play as well, he tried his heart out and he's now playing himself to a standstill. But unfortunately, it's in a losing cause. Shin Vihil Neil Parkin Ishak Teen Nomad, August Bernamore, Black and Amber in the Forna.
Tá Carter Father good agus the Hogbe Michael Rice, Yoga Coronod Gram with the Fiachanted, Corin Skilla Aiden. Aha, Labrador, Hanagasta Hurstoi, Posted in Eho. EJ Delaney. agus skippa an dalah mar sin deisige tabhar dáin dul an saí. Tony Screw besteach Jonah Carnoige cadile cad a dhéanach sé. Palais agus Foxair agus Stochar East go dúra siad fé chóil. Páid Kennedy ar títach an táidge a Kilkenny agus sosa hút a Fíjé Delaney agus Brolabás de Fíjé a chiondíanta go siúd. Mar sin, Willie Ryan agus dócha go dúra sé fé chóil. Ní hen chairde Coolini fen drása. Séisiir a stig sa bháide ó heftaibh. Agus se he Willie, chan tút fé chóil. Slitarár de hiige, bhuilte go híisian agus sárathe go deasansan ag Richie Power. Níl dead le tabhar dáin fós agus sárathe ar náis ó bháile sa chéile. Well, tá siad sásta tríise méid sin. Bhí a giondiantar a misisiile chu éireachama. Víte Kilkenny go glórach a láthar na huide, an me siad cho glórach an ag chunta a chláid, Francis Devaney. Agus an Tinnadaí an san, da Kilkenny, Páid Kennedy. Amach go dtí Fitzpatrick. Well, skill Michael Rice an captain, Michael Machtlish, Wiltige Michael. Báide uide teachtamach. Patrick McCormick. Ach tá siúr tímpelid, cehar tímpelid. Agus Shane Coonan, deisige Shane ar ára dhéanamh, pointige Shane Coonan.
No more than Shane Coonan deserved after those thrilling runs from left half forward. But just watch what happened here. Richard Power, a forward and a wonderful forward. He was back to defend, not once, but twice, and that I think will be one of the big memories to take away from this game. Richard Power making 2 saves. That, of course, that point by Shane Coonan, and of course the goal in the 24th minute that settled this issue.
Agus tá Shane Cadigan takeach an táidge a Kilkenny, David Prendergast susta go higo, agus ahrú a dhéanamh ag Kilkenny ag tabhar dáin chomá, a láthar na huide tá Paddy Ryan i teach an táidge ag tabhar dáin. Agus David Morrissey imihin. Mar sin cúigear an adithe ar a báilge tabhar dáin a láthar na huide. Na máte fan imre, ach sehe ón Reid, deisige ón an bharna bhéadú níos a bhófós, builtige ón agus Counson Curamú ag Kilkenny, ach rá nómad breise ar a luiad ar a Multúrlin. Sin an án breise hana hénig. Paddy Ryan agus gan é an áilis teistach an táidge. Michael Bergen. Anna chóngracht an Davlín agus mehamach Pat Sharp déanamh a dhíhil ach an bhartíanta ag Kilkenny. Breise agus dúban scóide chud ar nó a láthar na huide agus beidir leanómad pácha don án breise. Padraig Holden. Michael Rice, an captain. Grai met chluisin chuidin sarafada agus Calais dented Michael Rice. Sné Michael and captain.
Some attention now from Michael Rice from Carrickshock, the Kilkenny captain. He really has been inspirational in the middle of the field. And PJ Delaney, who went off just a little bit earlier on to have a rest and give one of the subs a run, when he settled into the game after being troubled early on by Francis Devaney, when he settled into it at centre half back, that too was a telling factor in the outcome of this game.
Richie Power agus leanómad le chuise dáinómad a mé heach ceanna leanna chuoine fád ag Richie is cumasach an Tamánia. Sin tanale can spricke tan Moltoid, Dermot Kerwin if you had to do it Jim.
There's the full-time whistle. Kilkenny are the All-Ireland minor hurling champions on a scoreline of 3 goals and 15 points to Tipperary's 1 goal and 7. No doubt we'll see many of these Tipperary minors, brilliant minors, back as senior stars of the future, but we'll see them from Tipperary too. In the next game you'll see DJ Carey, he was a brilliant minor, but so too was John Redden of Clare, who captained them to win Clare's only minor title, so the minors will come through, at least a good many of them will. The final score, after a brilliant display by Kilkenny, hard luck to Tipperary, 3 goals and 15 points to Tipperary's 1 goal and 7.
Yeah, I think some of those Kilkenny players are more likely to hurt themselves in the after-match celebration than they were during the game. Fine win then for Kilkenny in that minor final. Gerlachnan and Pete Finnerty have been watching the game with us. We have the presentation coming up very shortly here, of course. But Gerlachnan, that was a class performance really against what that seemed to be a good Tipperary team.
Well, we expected a great game here. Now, it was a great display for Kilkenny, but not from Tipperary, because they were just totally outclassed in the day. And we spoke about 3 Kilkenny forwards before the game, but as a matter of fact, you could have mentioned 6 Kilkenny forwards, because Shane Coonan on the wing, Alan Healy in the corner, and what a display from Chad Fitzpatrick at corner forward. And of course, we all expected Richie Power to do something like he did today. Yeah. Brilliant display, but all the great attributes of Kilkenny hurling. Winning the ball in the air, great skill, delivering the ball into the open spaces, taking points, all in evidence there today. You know, fantastic display from them.
Just to cut across you for a second, Ger, I think you know some of the lads getting off this bus right now.
And as usual, they're late, you know. I suppose they were...
His speech at the moment, we were inclined to know, Dr. Clifford, that these things can go on a little bit before he actually hands over the cup. But we just will stay with this thing for the moment. But I'm sure also, Pete Finnerty, you were very impressed with some of these Kilkenny minors. And fellas like Richie Power, you were just saying a minute ago, we'll be seeing on other days here. He is, of course, a minor again next year.
Yeah, it was a fantastic display. It's a very balanced team, and they have the good players in the right positions. John Tinson at full-back, PJ Delaney at centre-back, and of course you have Power and Fitzpatrick. He's a spectacular little player. The goal that he got there in the second half.
To the presentation.
Ordas for Cashelen, Dr. Diarmadok Lovoinetson, agus Stocha G. Moid, going on Rastiente, Kilkenny, Gere Hunter Hain Tobradarn, agus Michael Rice, Clihana Flish, agus Clisha Fedeholu, Sean Mackay. Sinead Corran Skilla here in Michael Rice, Kilkenny. Ishen a captain at Foster Kiroin, Wig Foster Holominer, Le Pintavon and Udla Sale, Achton Corran is Ounsel and a free in the wicket.
It's more on Lasha, the Winter Kilkenny, on Shostawalla, August Harlar, Tom Kern, Irish Press, Egdolawalla, the Kilkenny, Horace Name, Nina Fada, August Tana, Sorin Glare. I thank our manager, Nicky Cashin, his 4 selectors, Brother Damien Brennan, Joe Dunphy, Tony Marr, and Brian Waldron. I thank Joe Pike, the chairman of the board of officials, Dr. Bill Cuddy and his medical team. I would like to thank each and every member of this panel for the huge effort they have put in. I would like to thank my own club, Carrickshock, for giving me this great honour. Finally, I would like to thank Tipperary for a fine sporting game. And 3 cheers for Tipperary. Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip! I would like to wish Kilkenny the best of luck in the next game. Garamila Mahagwin.
Well done again. Captain Kilkenny, Michael Rice, Shigara Malta, the Hubradarn, Agus Corran, Skilla Aaron, Ordahe, Leshige.
Yeah, very nice little speech there from Michael Rice, the Kilkenny captain. And so then, as he queued us up for, that's our preparation for the senior game. It's Clare against Kilkenny.